Good morning, good morning. New Year's Eve. So, um, today I thought, yesterday I spent a long time, I think my stream was about 9 hours. And, I actually wanted to get on, and the reason why I had no voice was because I tend to waffle a bit, and I tend to lose focus if I'm kind of talking at the same time. Um, but anyway, I wanted to achieve getting the library done, and I did get it done. There's still some tweaks I want to do to it. If anyone watched my video from yesterday, um, the stair was, the stairs thing was crap really, but I just used that as a way of getting up the stairs in the library. And I need to bring the land impact down. Although I mean the whole thing was 66, and I mean it is a fairly complex building, but I think I can bring it down, you know, a bit more. And I didn't. I made it partly mesh and partly prim. Second life prim. So, if I made the whole thing in mesh, I'm sure I could probably bring it down. But it was an exercise I wanted to get done, and so hence I didn't do voice yesterday. So that's the reason for that. So today I've got a whole series of Victorian houses that I designed for Neo Victoria Sim for the surround, and they were what I'm calling dummy houses. They weren't houses that you could walk into. They were just literally just for show. And I mean, I love Victorian houses. I live in a Victorian house, um, Victorian style type house. It wasn't built in the Victorian era, but it's something I don't know. There's just something about the design of Victorian houses that I really like. So anyway, I actually saw this sort of style of house recently, and I just wanted to. So this is going to be actually quite a large. Now I would say I'm not actually doing this to any specific design because I'm going to alter it, because this is going to be a house that will be used for renting out in Second Life. So that's that's where this is coming from. Um, so I have to design it slightly different, a bit like my sort of Victorian style shop. You have to be able to open up doors, walk around the building, and such like. And so there needs to be physics attached to a lot of this. And this isn't going to be a fast build, but as you can see, I've already started. It's actually going to be quite a large uh, building, but at the same time relatively simple in its design, because I have seen this kind of style of house predominantly countryside or very wealthy urban areas around the UK, and so it's very much sort of a Victorian stylish, maybe even older than that, I would say, really, but it's sort of got elements of Victorian to it. And I've added a basement. Now, a lot of the old, really old kind of houses, sort of 150, 200 odd years old, seem to typically always come with a basement, what we call a basement. Um, and so this really is underground. Typically, this is underground, but I'm going to make this so that yes, it's going to be underground, and then this is obviously this this one here is the ground floor, and then this is the first floor, and obviously the roof. And I've made the floors already in between. Um, So this is going to be sort of, there's going to be stairs going down and stairs going up. Now I made assets a little while ago, which is like, I really did some exercises to create my own windows, because I think windows look best in 3D, to be honest. You can keep them as simple as possible, and this is the wrong style of window for this particular house, and I'm going to go through that in a minute. But typically I think I might use this particular window for possibly some basement windows going all the way around. There will be some, so this is the front. There is typically sort of 5 windows at the top, 2 on each side of the front door is very often in the middle, with very often they will have a kind of a Gothic, not a Gothic, a sort of either a circle of glass above the door, or sometimes they will have steps going up with, you know, small pillars, and, you know, I've seen all sorts of different things, but I'm going to keep this as low poly as I probably can, and low land impact, but yeah, but sort of keeping the style. And very often these houses were not made of red brick, they were made of stone, so they would be, you know, stone blocks on these typically. So yeah, so there'd be 5 at the top, 1 in the middle, 2 each side, and then that you've got the front door, and then this on this particular level, and then 2 more windows each side, and they would be in my design it's going to be really large rooms. You know, I'm not going to go into doing things like designing the interior. This is just literally just going to be the shell of the house, as it were, and then people can furnish it as they see fit. Chimneys, there's going to be a chimney probably on each end, because that's typically how they, you know, how it would be done. I'm going to put some dormer windows at the top here in the roof, just for show, really. Might put a back door in, and not very many windows at the back, because typically people are not going to be really looking at the back of the house. The sides, again, there's going to be the sides won't have windows, so there's going to be sort of a chimney on both ends but anyway, that's the plan. I'm going to take my time doing this. I'm not going to rush anything, because I want this to actually be almost a template for some other style of houses. But yeah, this would be a house of a wealthy businessman living in the country, or a, you know, fairly wealthy farmer, that kind of style of house, really. So welcome along. I'm gonna talk as I go along with this one. Something I found really interesting as a bit of a side note, and I'm so tempted to do a video about this. This is about the music. Okay, now I have got so-called non-copyrighted music, which is being provided by people that say things like, oh, you can use this music on any of your streams, Twitch, YouTube, you know, whatever, Facebook, whatever it is, you know, you won't get copy strikes and it won't be blocked and all that. And it's absolute balderdash, because nearly every single music, even Twitch's own so-called non-copyrighted music, which I have used several times now on streams, in Twitch. So I'm using so-called non-copyrighted music in Twitch streams. I forget now what they call it. And I went through and configured OBS, and I did all of that correctly, and it was all working perfectly okay. And guess what? I got strikes. What do they call it? Soundtrack. That's it. Soundtrack by Twitch. And it don't work. It doesn't work. You get strikes. So I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. I don't know what's happening in. I mean, the music industry has been going down the pan for decades now. I mean, especially since, you know, things like Twitch and obviously YouTube and lots of other hosting. And I just don't know. I don't know. Anyway, that's enough on that subject. I could talk about that for quite a while, but it just really, really irritates me when people say that they are providing non-copyright, you know, free, effectively free music, and it isn't. It gets strikes, so it gets blocked, it gets silent, you know, made silent and such like. So I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is. Have no idea. And I know other streamers have got exactly the same problem, and there is all these threats about, you know, being blocked and banned and blah blah blah, and it's just like, well, you know, somebody somewhere just do some. In fact, actually, I am going to do a stream on producing my own ambient background music, because you can create it yourself. I've spent years trying to get hold of. Now, I'm not a musician, but you know, I think it's just nice when you're doing videos to have something, you know, fairly low in the background for those silent pauses and such like. And you don't want just to have a stream with no noise and someone talking, but something just, you know, lo-fi music, ambient music going on in the background. And I've got a couple of pieces of software. I would just wish I could play, you know, a keyboard or something, and I could probably produce some really nice ambient music. But I can do simple stuff, but not complicated stuff. So anyway, enough of that. The music industry is shot, in my opinion. I don't know quite what's going on. I mean, they're so quick to sue people and ban people and whatever for playing music. I mean, I can understand you don't want your music kind of ripped off and misused. All that I can understand, but if music is playing in your stream and you happen to be in a shopping centre or in a you know, a pub or a, you know, somewhere where there is some music in the background, and it's not within your control, and yet you get banned or blocked because of that, I think it's wrong. You have no choice, you know, it's there, it's playing. It's a bit like trying to turn Birdsong off. Do you know what I mean? It's just very odd. But misuse of it I can understand. But then make it easy for people to contribute, you know, some kind of financial, obviously, gain to the artist. You know, like make it easier for people to play your music, but also for you to make money. But I think there's just too much control by people who seem to want to take their share of other people's work, effectively. So anyway, I need to apply scale to this all, and now we're back down to 1. Anyway, I'm going to shut up about that. I just find it irritating. That's all. I find it really, really irritating that, so, you know, services like Twitch cannot seem to provide background ambient music for people to use without getting struck off or getting their videos, you know, blocked for whatever reason. Anyway, let's do some 3D stuff, which is, I'm hoping, the reason why you came here. So anyway, I'm going to duplicate this. So this is obviously an asset I've already made. I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to ooh. Okay, I don't know quite what happened there. Oh, okay. No, I haven't done that. Right, okay. I want to... Oh, come on. Right, okay. I think I'm going to use possibly just 2 on the front and possibly 2 of these on the back for the... I'm going to duplicate that again and bring that out here. Have I... Yeah, I thought I had done. Yeah, I thought as much. Okay, I've got kind of multiple copies. Okay, right. So now have I only just got one? Yeah, right, okay. That's good. So with all the sort of houses that I've made for Second Life before, there is certain things that you need to do in order to keep the physics shape. Otherwise, what tends to happen is you design this really, really nice house and you bring it into Second Life and the physics is all shot. And it's taken me literally years. I tried many years ago, and I've mentioned this before in previous videos, where it was so complicated to get the physics correct for Second Life. When you're building mesh houses, and I've seen people do all sorts of funny things, and some of it I think sometimes people just really overcomplicate things, and I brought this model as it is straight into Second Life and it worked perfectly. So I tend to find that if you separate your floors / your ceilings and your main buildings and such like this, when you bring it into Second Life, it works fine. It works absolutely fine. So I think what I'm going to do now, the way I design my my windows, I try to keep them as low poly as possible. Basically, this is one piece of mesh, which is just like the outer frame, and then these kind of window dividers bits in the middle is another piece of mesh, and that's basically it. The glass, that bit there, I tend to assign a different material, and I'll do that on these before I start copying them, because otherwise I've got to go around and do that individually on every single window, and there's going to be a lot of windows. So very often I will texture these, so there'll be one for the window. In fact, actually no, I won't do one for the window, because when I bring it in for Second Life, it's going to be done manually. I find that much easier to do than putting a texture on. But the frame will be wood, and then this particular here, the lintel bit, will be a lintel. So that tries to keep it as low poly as possible. And then actually I've just noticed that the Huh, that's interesting, isn't it? All the normals are around the wrong way. I wonder, is that because I brought it in? Huh. I brought it into I imported it into here. So there's a few things I need to get right on these windows before I start. So actually, the best thing to do really now is to highlight that lot. Highlight them and get rid of them. And let's get this window correct first before I do anything else. So I'm going to highlight both that and that. Okay. Anyone watching has got any questions, then by all means ask away. I'm going to reuse this mesh here. It's already triangulated, which is actually really quite good. Right, so I'm going to highlight that. Actually, first of all, I need to get the normals correct. So, mesh, normals, recalculate outside. There we go. Still seem to have some normals. Huh. Okay, hang on, let me just come back here. So still seem to have some normals going the wrong way. I didn't have that. It's interesting, isn't it? Okay. It's best to get these things sorted out. Still doesn't seem to want to put it around. Maybe that is round the right way. Yeah, that possibly is round the right way. Okay, so let's go back to here. I think this looks... It's best to get these kind of things sorted first before you start... so let's select that lot, normals, outside. That looks better. There we go. Normals are all round the right way. Right, I'm going to select that and that. Let's just turn that off a minute. I'm going to select that. We're going to make a new material, and then generally what tends to happen is that material is the whole lot. Okay, so I'm going to call that wood frame, because we're going to use these materials throughout the whole thing. Always seem to start off with the whole of the mesh that you design. The whole item, the whole piece tends to be the first material, and I've made this mistake several times. Is, you know, you highlight one thing and then create a new material on it, and then you find out that the material actually applies to the whole thing, and then you work your way down, assigning different materials to different parts of the mesh, rather than thinking that you can assign it the other way. It doesn't work. The first material always is the whole item, and then you go down. So I'm going to assign another one here, and I'm going to call that window pane. So I'm just going to assign that because I've highlighted it. Boom. And I'm going to also mark sharp, and then I'm going to do the seams as well as I go along. Now the next part is going to be this bit. I think I've highlighted that correctly. So that's basically the window sill. Add a new and then assign it. So this is window sill. Okay, just make sure that I assign that. That's fine. And I'm basically going to take that and that, mark sharp, and then mark seam, which is fine. So I've got 3 textures on there, which is just basically the window frame, wooden, the actual wood frame. So if we go back, okay. So you can go in and go select, and we've just got the frame, the wood. This is just going to be the wood frame, and then we've got the window pane, which is just that. Deselect, and then the window sill is the bit on the bottom, so that we know that we've got the textures correct, the materials are correct, rather. Now, if I select this, this is going to be part of the wood frame. So we're going to go new. Can I not just pick? Wood frame. There we go. Assign that. So deselect, select. There we go. Right. Keeping the textures down. Materials down. Okay, right. Now, as I said, so I'm happy with this. We've done seams, etc., etc. What I can do now is I can duplicate this, and I'm just going to move it over there, out of the way, because we're going to use that to create the windows for the ground and the first floor. So I'm quite happy that I can use this. I think probably one about there. And typically the basement, the basement windows are very typically got grills on them. You know, metal grills. I'm not so sure that that came in on this particular way, so I'm going to duplicate that and just move that over there roughly. So I think something like that is fine. They may well have been smaller, these kind of windows. Don't know. Anyway, we're going to duplicate this again, and we're going to go Z. Alright, so we're going to go up here. Now, these windows were a lot, so I'm going to have to make these taller. So GX. Probably around about there. I need to do the door. If you're hearing noises outside, it will be the garbage truck, the rubbish men. Yep. Right, so this window, actually, I'm going to bring so G. Let's make it so I can get a sense of scale. Now they were actually quite big, tall. These windows were quite tall. It was almost like the windowsill almost went to the floor, and then the top of the window kind of almost about the same distance from the ceiling. They were actually quite large. So I'm thinking I may be able to just do this. So I want to make them fairly large. I think that's pretty good. We're going to have 6 or 8. I mean, I have seen windows with 8. You know, so this would have like, you know, they're almost square. So let's see what that looks like with 8. Yeah, okay, I think that looks alright. Really square, is it? Let's have a look. Okay. That would have, this one would have been in the middle. So if I can get that in the middle, then I can get the other 2. Yeah, that's about right. And then that would have been, and that needs to just go up very slightly. And then I think we're pretty much there. I think that's going to look pretty good. pretty good. So we got basically 8 panes of glass. So I need to, let's do apply the scale. Yeah. Did I apply the scale on this? I think I did. Yeah, scale, that's fine. So scale's fine on there. Scale's fine on there. Okay. So now it's a matter of something like that. Let me just look at my reference image. Pretty sure that's about right. Yeah, that's about right. Possibly this one needs to go over that way a little bit more. Okay. And then that would go over there, like so. Something along those lines. Shift D, Z. And then the first floor would have, the windows would be pretty much, you know, mirrored the same. So we're looking at about that. And then one of these would be put right in the middle. And I've got a reference point right there. So the front door would go here. Now, that's looking good. You can see that I've got to cut, because this is going to be a living house, I've got to cut holes in the walls because obviously people need to see out. That's looking actually really quite good. There won't be any windows on the side here, but I might put windows. See, I don't think that you would necessarily have that many windows on the back. You might not have the same amount of windows on the back. Let me look at my reference again. Okay, so they did actually have windows on the back. The same kind of windows were actually on the back. So, and then there was one, but I want to put a rear door. So yeah, it's interesting. On my reference image, doesn't have a back door. Unless the back... okay, so maybe the back door was actually on the side. Okay, the back door was possibly on the side of the house to go out the back, rather than... I'm gonna put it on the back. So anyway, let's grab all of this. Yeah, I'm gonna use that as well. So this is all the windows. Shift D, Y. Okay, we can drag that out as well anyway. That's fine. Rotate Z 180. So this is the back of the house. I'm gonna... I don't know what to do with that really. Well, yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so let's just get this lined up correctly. That's about right. Yeah, that looks good. So front door will be here. Front door will be here. I might do a slightly posher version than my reference image for the front door. And I might do a back door on the side, I think, because I've got an idea about what I'm going to put here. I'm going to put a nice set of stairs there. So anyway, this is looking good. Right, there's several methods I've used for if you like, cutting holes in the walls. There's just so many. Anyway, I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this different revision. Okay, let's just save it as that for now. And now I'm going to save as a different revision so that we always save your versions. Now these windows are not going all the way through. So I'm not gonna cut holes in this wall at the moment. I just want to get the basic sort of house structure done. That's interesting how I didn't bring those over. How come that wasn't highlighted? Interesting sometimes how this stuff happens. Okay, are we properly? Yeah, okay, we're good. Right, so save. I'm paranoid about losing my work, so I save lots of different revisions keep saving as you go along, because I've seen so many people lose, you know, hours and hours of work because they didn't save it, and it's just not good. It's not good. Right, now I'm going to work on the chimney bit on the side. Now they had quite grand fireplaces, so the fireplace wouldn't go from the basement, it would go literally from the ground floor upwards, so there would have been a very large fireplace on the ground floor, typically in probably on both sides. Well, it would have been on both sides, and then you would have had a smaller fireplace in the rooms upstairs. I am typically seeing this building, because it's going to be for Second Life, it's not going to be full of rooms, so there's going to be a hallway. You're going to walk through the hallway. In front of you there's going to be quite some nice stairs that are going to go to the first floor, and then there will be a room on this side and one big room on this side, and the same upstairs. I'm not going to have, you know, and I'll probably build this maybe like the bathroom or a smaller room here, and that's basically going to be it. So there's going to be a sort of a hall up the top, and that's basically how it's going to work. So you're going to walk through the front door, and there'll be a door on each side that will lead into, you know, two big rooms here, and then there'll be some nice stairs going up. And I've already done a video with the stairs, so I'm going to probably use that asset to go up onto the first floor, and then there'll be a sort of a small hallway with a small room here, this room here, and then two more big rooms at the top there. So simple, keep it simple, keep it simple. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to work on, let's save this, I'm going to work on let's bring that out here 1 minute. So let's bring the cursor here, control. This is going to be a pretty simple fire chimney. Ooh, how did that... got that wrong then. Say it'd be about that big. So it's going to go from this particular level here, and I need to kind of design it in such a way, because I know I've got a gap between each of the floors here. So if we start about there, because it'd be in the middle of the room, scale Y, let's make it about that big. Doesn't matter if it's so I'm going to make it there. Let me look at my reference image a minute. Yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, they were pretty big, because they had quite large fireplaces. In fact, mine, with relation to the scale of the house that I'm designing, this is, I would say, about right. You don't want it monstrous. Okay, I'm going to call this, where is this? I don't want it in there. Oh, okay. So I want to move that. Move to house. Try to keep everything, you know. So this is chimney right hand side. So we're going to go up something like this. I want to make the chimney sort of somewhat a little bit more interesting than just your your average chimney, really. I mean, I guess you could go up in industrial buildings. They didn't have any style or shape to them, but on this particular instance, I want to kind of go up. Z. Wow, that doesn't seem to work very well. So I'm going to scale this on the Y. There we go. We're going to go up something like that. And I want it to go over something a little bit like this. Keep looking at my reference images. Okay. So again, it looks like G. Let's go down a little bit, and then extrude Z. Still not used to this particular version and the way it handles scale Y. When you extrude, it Alright, I'm going to take both of those and I'm going to go X. I'm going to go in, give it a little bit more shape. Let's go in a little bit like that. I'll give it a little bit of character. Right, so I want to scale on the Y. Let's bring it down that way. Yeah, it's got a little bit more character to it. So we would have had a bigger fireplace here, a smaller one upstairs. Yeah, you didn't get me that time. I remembered not to press Z on the previous versions. You always kind of had to press which direction you were going to go in, and it's getting used to this. So let's give this a little bit more. So I want to extrude up a little bit more. No. Something like that. Going to press it again. Okay, that looks good. And then we'll put a couple of chimney pots on there as well. So cursor to active. Yeah, there we go. So I'll Shift A. Let's just add a couple of very simple cylinders. 6 is probably enough because they're going to be pretty small. She might make those a little bit higher. Let's do them 8 because then they won't look quite so blocky. G. I'm not going to make them too fancy because they don't need to be really. No one's going to be looking at the chimney as long as it looks like a chimney. There we go. That looks okay. That looks fine. So when these are all of these are moved down, obviously the chimney will go up in relation to the kind of the scale of the building, which will be about right because the chimney would typically be quite high on the roof. It might even be a little bit higher than that. I might move that up about there maybe, and then that might look a little bit more realistic. Yeah. The fact that that goes through the roof is not a problem. So this would be mirrored basically on the other side. So let's apply scale. We haven't got anything else to do on that. It's got a little bit of character, which I think is fine. So all I'm going to do now is just duplicate this, bring it over the other side. Let's delete that first because what I can do is tidy up this. I'm going to go around and actually tidy up all of the mesh, but I can probably do most of the tidying up now before I now leave the top bit. So I'm going to basically delete those faces because they're no longer required. It cuts down the mesh. AZ 180. Right, so I'm just going to leave that like that for now. Save. Okay, sorry, I've not been looking at the stream. If anyone's... Nope, no one's leaving any messages. Okay. We're getting some good viewers, though. We've got some lurkers. If you're a lurker, welcome. We are building a Victorian country style, an upmarket farmhouse slash, you know, businessman's type country house. Should be rather large, actually. I mean, this would be definitely somebody who's got money back in the Victorian times to live in a house this big. And we've got a basement down the bottom, which is going to be underground. This is the front door, which is what I'm going to be working on next, or I might work on the dormer. We're going to have a couple of dormer windows each side. May put part of a chimney on here. Okay, but anyway, the next bit I'm going to be working on is the door. And I'm going to be using, if you don't know, you haven't been to my channel before, I predominantly work with Blender making things for Second Life, predominantly. I do other things as well with Blender, but it's predominantly for Second Life. Now, I don't think I've actually designed any assets. I've designed a lot of assets for Windows, Gothic and straightforward Windows, but I've not done... I haven't done any assets, actually. It's one of the things I must work on is assets for doors, but doors are actually not too bad. I'm gonna do a door. Let me look at my reference image. Always look at your reference images. The door, yeah, I'd say is quite a typical, fairly straightforward. I'm going to do mine slightly different to my reference image. So there is my cursor. Oh yeah, my cursor went up there, didn't it? Okay, so I'm going to bring the cursor down here. This is one of the hardest things that I found, was working with the cursor. The cursor to me is very non-intuitive in Blender. I've learned how to use it, but it's not intuitive at all where the cursor goes. Because look, I think that I've put that on this particular mesh in the middle, but in reality it's probably nowhere. Okay, in this particular instance it actually did do it, but most of the time it doesn't. It sticks it it sticks it somewhere almost random. And hi Ava, how are you? Sorry, I'm. Oh, okay. You're making your own game. That sounds good to me. Today I'm making a Victorian style house. It's like a country, upmarket country businessman's house. And again, copper cube. Okay. Very good. You're occupied. So, we haven't got anything selected. Oh. See what I mean about the cursor? This is what frustrates me about the cursor in Blender. So I forgot to unclick, and that threw me so many times when I first started using Blender many years ago, and it still throws me. It's just not intuitive at all. So yeah, you'd select the cursor option tool, and then you'd forget. And you start sticking the cursor in all sorts of places. You have to remember to unclick. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over a little bit. Alright. So let's add a mesh. I'm just going to add a cube, I think. Scale. So I'm going to make it around there. GZ. Right. So I learned a new technique recently, which is a new tool that I've started to use a little bit more in Blender, which I'll demonstrate because it's absolutely excellent at creating arches really easily. So for doing Gothic arches, which were an absolute nightmare to try and make before, you can now make arches in Blender really easily. Right, so let's select that face. We're going to go up, G, Z. Oh, it did it that time. So I'm going to go up pretty high because I want this door. These doors used to be quite impressive. Right, so how you use this tool? I don't know when this tool got introduced to Blender. It's possible. I don't think it has been there all the time. But anyway, this is how you use it. You want to try and get your cursor. Now we have to go back to the dreaded cursor again. You need to get your cursor because it relies on the cursor. Kind of around there. That's fine. I might have to resize this a bit. But anyway, we go back to selecting our face. Boom. There we go. Right, so we have our face selected. That's fine. What we now do is we select the spin. Yeah, we select the spin. We want to go on the y-axis, and basically we do this. Boom! How neat is that? And we can actually put, I'm going to go 180 degrees. You get obviously the dialog box down the bottom here, so you can be very precise, and you also have how many steps you want to make. So I reckon 8 is fine. So you got 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, and then you've got this in the middle, which is absolutely fine. I think that's absolutely perfect. Now you have to remember that when you when you click away from this, you lose this dialogue. So you have to be very sure that you've got the right segments, the right angles, etc., etc. And then you can continue to extrude down the other side. How awesome and easy is that? And now you have, I mean, this is just, you know, a Gothic. It's just so easy. It's really, really easy. Okay, I want to make sure that I've got that about the same. Yeah, okay. So there we go. How easy is that? Now, I know that this is actually too big. We can scale it down. Let's get the scale correct. Let's go back to this. Okay. Let's make sure that the whoops. Scale is correct. Okay, that's fine. Now all we have to do is scale this down, and I'm going to put it about there. Now, just to give you a sense of scale, because Second Life uses a kind of an odd scaling system, you have to oversize everything in order for it to work. So when I made this house initially to scale, brought it into Second Life, when I moved around the building, you know, if you're on the ground floor, your kind of viewing angle is almost above the first floor, which is a bit kind of disconcerting, really. So you have to make it bigger, oversize it. So to give you an idea of the scale, typically most characters in Second Life are kind of 2 meters or below. The height between each floor is 4 meters, so that you get the scaling correct. It's good to get that correct actually in Second Life, otherwise just things look really weird, and very often people don't do that correctly because they build a building to scale and bring it into Second Life, and it's too small. It's too small for most characters. So also to give you an idea, my Lycan character is 3 meters tall. So I'm, you know, if I was to go into this building, this building then is actually not the right size for my Lycan character. You know, if I was to role play. So let's center this up. I reckon that's about right. I want the door to be fairly impressive. Yeah, I'm going to scale it on the Y slightly. I want it. Okay, that's going to be good. So if you think about it, this doorway is actually quite tall. It's 4 meters high, which, you know, is actually a lot bigger than it needs to be. But I'm going to put like a half window, you know, kind of a what do they call it? You know, not a skylight. I forget now what they call it. But a window above the door here, which is basically what's going to happen there. So Am I going to do a separate? No, I don't want to make. I want to make the outside frame of the door like stone. I think what I might do is let's just join. Okay, I'm going to just do this. So we're going to extrude. See, it's already selected Z. How did it know that I wanted to go down? I don't know. So this is what throws me with this version of Blender. Right, so actually what I'm going to do now is that. Okay, that's interesting, isn't it? So we need to fill. There we go. So we're going to extrude out. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So this is just basically the stonework that's basically around the door. The door's not really centered correctly. Now it's centered. Now the doors were typically quite big on these houses. That's looking pretty impressive. I like that. I just love building in Blender. It's just amazing what you can create. Right, I'm going to take these sides here. Let me check my reference image. I'm not so sure. I don't think the door would have been. I don't think the door would have been. Have I ever seen a door with an oval top? No, I haven't. No, they wouldn't. It wouldn't have been like that. So I'm going to duplicate these. I'm going to separate them by selection. I'm going to name this where are we? We're adding down the bottom. So this is the door frame. I'm going to call that door frame, and this one is the door, and I'm going to move both of those to the house. Okay, so we've got all the windows in one collection and other bits and pieces in the other. Okay. So this is our door. I'm going to scale, no, Y, just a bit, so the door is smaller. Badoink. Bridge edge loops, there we go. Let's fill that one. Let's fill that one. So now we have a door that looks like a door. And it's slightly smaller than the actual frame. If anybody's got any questions, then by all means, ask questions and I will try to answer them. How are we doing on scale? Let's get rid of the scale. Let's sort out the scale on there, sort out the scale on there. Okay, this is a pretty impressive, and they were big. I remember living in a Victorian house when I was younger, and the front door was massive. I mean, it really was, and it was made out of oak or something. I mean, I can remember being quite young, and it was huge. So we've got this front face. I'm going to subdivide it, subdivide it again. No, I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to subdivide it too many times. There we go. Just that amount of times. That's all I needed to do. Now I can just inset and inset again. That's it. I want to create like big door panels. Typically. And then we're going to extrude on the Y. Something along that line. And then we're gonna scale. If I go shift Y. Cool. Ooh, no, that's gone. Scale on the Y. Okay. Local scale. Select the normals. Scale. Oh, come on. Is that scale all wrong? No, it isn't. Okay. There's got to be a way of scaling. If we do that, we want to scale it on the Y. Wow. Okay. Gimbal, view. Gotta be a way of doing it. Scale. No. Shift Y. Why does it only select? Okay, I don't know. I know you can do it this way. I want to do that, but on each one 4 times. Cursor, normal, global. Maybe it's global. This is where you learn scale. If I do that, no. I want to do it on the Y-axis. Nope. Ah, right, okay, I think I know what I'm doing wrong. The origin needs to go into the center, I think. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Set origin to center. Okay, let's try this again. So scale. I think it needs to be on the normals. Scale, shift Y. Y. Z. X. Y. Shift Z. Okay. Okay, so let's do it on local. GY goes that way. This is where I love learning. Scale, shift Y. Normally that's what you do, but it's like... See, I would normally say it would be on the normals. Where are the normals? Mesh, normals, outside. Okay. I might have to just do each one individually. It might be faster than me trying to figure out. See, I would say that's on the normals. That's fine. That's all on the normals. So why can't I scale? That's not working. See, if I go inset, it does it. But I don't want to inset. I want to scale. Automatic constraint. Nope. I want to scale. Snap. God, there's so many options. Shift and automatic constant. Okay, so shift. No. Shift Y. Shift Z. Shift X. Shift Y. It is very frustrating. Come on, somebody help me out here. G. If I say Y, that goes that way, okay? Why can't I scale on that axis? Scale, shift, Y. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. I have no idea. Okay, I'm going to do it individually because it doesn't make any sense to me. Let's just do it manually. They might look a little bit odd, but no one's really going to be noticing it that bad, and it's only going to be a little bit out on each one. It'd have been easier for me to actually just do that than trying to figure out how on earth. Impressive door. They would have the doors that I've very often seen have got a knob. They've very often got a lock on one side, and then they would have a large knob right in the middle. And okay, I have quite a few people in the background looking. Today I'm making I'll just explain very briefly what I'm doing. I'm making a Victorian style-ish stylized house for Second Life in Blender, and I kind of started this yesterday with the basics, the walls and the floors, and brought it into Second Life to get the scale correct, and found that it wasn't correct. So I needed to scale it up, and if anyone knows anything about Second Life, you have to make things a lot bigger than to scale in real life, because when your characters are walking around, the view angle tends to be a lot bigger and wider than you would normally see in real life, because you're looking at almost in second person view. And so once I got the scale right, I'll give you an idea. I mean, this house here, I mean, it's 26 meters wide by 13 meters deep, which is, I mean, if that was in real life, would be astronomical in size and cost millions. But anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at. We've got the houses done. I've not created the holes yet, because this is going to be a working house. What I'm calling a working house. This is going to be a house that someone is going to use in Second Life. They need to go through the front door, and they will go into the house and walk around. So the physics has to be working correctly. The scale has to be correct. Not only does it have to look Victorian kind of era, but so at the moment I'm just working on the front door. So we've got kind of the surrounding masonry part, and I've made mine with an arch, which would have been applicable, and I've just finished the front door. So now I'm going to work on I'm going to have a sort of a sunrise. There would be a glass. Typically, I've actually seen things like stained glass windows. I mean, people would have spent a lot of money on stained glass windows. So I might do something like that here, because I want this to be sort of more of an upper class Victorian building. This belonged to either a businessman who had a house in the country, who would have had a townhouse and a big house in the country, or this would have been a very rich farmer, landowner. So I'm going to take those faces, duplicate them, separate them by selection, and now we've got our stained glass bit. Okay, so I put everything into collections. So this is going to be, I'm going to call this the door frame. Door frame, what am I going to call it? I'm just going to call it glass, because I'll know what that is. Right, so I'm going to bridge these. Bridge edge loops. Okay, we've got that now. So I'm going to fill that. fill that. Gonna scale it on the Y. Ooh, duh. Before I do that, I need to get the scale right myself. There we go. And let's set the origin to the center of the. There we go. So scale Y. Let's make it slightly smaller because we need a door frame. So this is going to be slightly smaller than the masonry. Now I need to scale this very slightly because we need wood, we need a door frame. So this is going to be masonry, glass window at the top, and then we're going to have a door frame. Go down here. Might make that actually part of the glass bit. Actually, do you know what I could have done? I'm just thinking, this is always the thing you see with Blender, because you always think of yet another way of doing something, which this is what I find so fascinating. You learn so much when you start building in Blender. I'm going to hide that for 1 minute because I think I could have done something a lot easier. I'm going to select these faces. Is this going to work? If I inset that, no, inset again. Oh, it will work. There we go. Cool. There you go. You see, sometimes you just got to trust your intuition. Now, if I extrude and go Control Shift Y, that should come in. We've now got okay, Shift Y, scale, Shift Y, no, scale, no. I've yet to figure out how this version of Blender does it. It's scaling. Extrude on the normals. So Y? No. Z? No. X? Y? Scale? Oh, there we go. No, it isn't. Shift Y. Shift X. Come on. Okay, so there's something. Right, okay, so let's go back to global, right? So I want to... Why is this so different in this particular version? I want to scale. Oh, right. Okay. Okay, so that was actually easier than... Okay, there's sometimes I just wonder... Sometimes I wonder, I'm sure that there's probably a guru or an expert watching me do this thinking, what on earth is this guy doing? Okay. Okay. There are sometimes some nice things that happen in Blender, and then sometimes there's just stuff that you think, what is going on? That is perfect. That is exactly what I'm looking for. Right, so now I need to just sort out the geometry here. Okay. I want to grab this face and this face. And drop it down. Okay. Now I've created some really bad geometry there. Actually, does that really matter? It doesn't really matter because I can just delete those faces. The only thing is now I've got two edges. Can I merge those edge loops? Dissolve, delete edges. Can I not merge? Edge. Ooh. No. No, that didn't do it. Please someone help me out. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I do kind of know what I'm doing, but this is the latest version of Blender and I'm not 100%. It's so stable, it's very, very usable. I pretty much daily download the latest alpha version, but as always with Blender, I mean, it's such an amazing product. Having those edges together is really annoying. Okay, I know that that's there and I need to deal with it, so that's fine. Okay. This is perfect for what I really want. So the door fits perfectly. I now need to create... I might actually make the door... So I need to bridge. Wow, this is working out better than I anticipated, to be honest. I need to bridge these. Okay. So, let's fill that. Is this what I want to do? Yeah, it is. I want to fill that. What I want to do is I want to create panes of glass here. Actually, do you know what? I might just use... I know. I might just use a texture to do this, because then I'm going to create an awful lot more tries, and it's unnecessary, really, for Second Life. So I think what I might do is select that. I know they're Angons, but they will get converted to... I might just make a texture that will go actually in here. I think that's the best thing to do, and I will make a nice stained glass texture to go in there. So I want now to grab scale on the Y. Let's just move these. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. No. Extrude, scale, scale on the Y. That's it. So I want to make that about the size of a pane of glass. There we go. So like that is perfect. That's going to be the best option, really. That is going to be the best option. So I'll make that look the only thing is, it doesn't look like... What I might do actually is resize. Let's scale that on the Z just very slightly, and grab that on the Z, down the Z, so that's going to go down there like so. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to create an edge loop. Oh, no. Oh yeah, okay, there we go. Right, I'm going to create an edge loop there, because we need a bit of wood at the top there. I'm going to create an edge loop there. Somewhere around there. Come on, there we go. Right. Select this face, select this face. I'm going to delete those faces. Now we need to make that solid, because then it will then fill that. It will fill that frame. So fill. Fill. Okay, we're looking good. We're looking good. We are looking good for our Victorian house. If anyone has got any questions, please ask me some questions. It will boost my ego slightly that I might know something and can actually answer a question that somebody is going to ask. So yeah. Okay, that, I mean, that I think is fine. That is absolutely fine. And also anyone that's lurking in the background there, by all means, you know, follow me. I would appreciate some more follows on Twitch. Be very useful. Okay, that's looking like a quite a neat door. Do I need to resize this? I think I do, very slightly. Let's just scale that on the Y just very slightly. Just make it look like a door. There we go. A door frame. There we go. It's got a little bit more oomph to it. That's fine. Okay, I think we're looking good, really. Let's get the scale sorted, and the scale is fine on that. So we've got the masonry, the door frame, what's going to be a stained glass window, and the door obviously needs to be separate. I might actually now make the little door, the door handle. It was really only in modern times that they had letterboxes. They were an addition that came later on. So I am going to move the cursor. Actually, why don't I just do it manually? I'm selecting, I'm going to make the door handle part of the door, obviously. Any questions? Any questions? Let me just check before I get into this, because what tends to happen is this takes quite a lot of concentration. So if you heard me earlier on talking about the cursor in Blender, it always throws me. So you can dump the cursor there, but it isn't necessarily where you think it is. But in this particular case it is. That's good. So I'm going to make a very simple doorknob. Right, okay, let's just get this correct. So we've selected the door. I want to add a very simple... Okay, let's go for cylinder. Yep. Let's drop that down to about 6. No, let's leave it at 8. 8 kind of looks good. It's not too high poly for Second Life. Plus, once it's smoothed, it smooths really, really well. I find 6 can sometimes still be a bit odd on shading. Rotate X 90 degrees. We need to scale. Oh no, rotate X 90. Thank you. Let's scale this down. Yep. So we're going to make a handle. Let's bring that out a bit. Now these handles on these doors were actually quite large. I mean, I'm not going to make it this big, obviously, but right. So that's going to be our base. Let's just see. Yeah, I mean that let's just resize resize that a little bit more. So just insert Shift Y. We're going to go like that, extrude on the Y. Extrude on the Y, scale on the Y. This is going to be very simple. Extrude on the Y, scale on the Y, something like that. Yeah, it's looking good. Extrude on the Y. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to maybe just do a 5-step scale on the Y. Okay, extrude on the Y. We're going to go back down again now. Scale on the Y. Extrude on the Y. We can always resize this and play around with it. Scale on the Y. So we're going down. G. Moved out a little bit too more. Extrude on the Y. This will be the last one. Scale on the Y. Yeah, that kind of looks good. Let's just turn the... Yeah, so that would actually be about right. Maybe it needs to be a little bit bigger. But it's just literally poking through. So let me G on the Y, and I need to delete the face that's behind because it's not required. Delete face. Let's scale. I'm going to scale it on the Y again because it just needs to be slightly bigger, I think. That looks okay. Make that a little bit shallow. Resize that down a little bit more. Okay, I think this... I think these faces here, can I do that? I can. No, that didn't go all the way through. Right, so those faces there, scale on the Y. I'm going to make that slightly, there we go, that's probably a bit better. Is that me or does it just look a little bit off? I think it does. Let's go back a minute. I think I know what I did. You learn by your mistakes. Let's make that a bit shallower. In fact, actually, I don't think I think that knob actually looks about right. I think what's wrong is This scale on the Y. Yeah, I think that's what's wrong. It's too. Yeah, that's better. That's better. So GY, let's stick that back there. That's fine. Yep, that looks about right to me. And I need to do a keyhole of some sort. Or not. I mean, I could probably add that actually on the texture for the door, to be honest. But it looks better if you've got a... now, is that knob part of the door? It isn't. Okay. So really what I need to do is make that part of that. So let's join those two things together. Ooh, I just noticed that. That looks pretty neat. I will keep it a separate part though. I just realised that that actually looks part of the mesh on there. It isn't, but it looks part of it. It's interesting. Don't need to make it part of it really. Okay, right, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the door. I'm happy with the frame. The masonry, the door frame and everything has turned out a lot better than I expected. What I need to do is sort out that the door frame bit down the bottom. I don't really like having those two edges so close together. It would be better if they were actually part of the same. Let's isolate this out and then we can see what's going on. So what's actually happening if I turn this on? Let's just zoom in here. See, what I've got here is we've got an edge that's there. Actually, I don't need that edge, do I? I don't need that edge at all. But what's actually happening is that that's what's actually happening. So I've got like two edges, and what I would really like to do is come on, I need to think. Come on, somebody must know what I can do with this. You're enjoying my agony of I think, okay, so what I think needs to happen is there needs to be a vertice there, right? So if there was a vertice there, How do you okay, so I've not done add single no. I know what I've seen people do is I've got that edge, and then if I subdivide it by 2, right? Okay. There. That's it. Right. So what I need to do now is bring that over here. Boink. Right. This is a long-winded way of doing it, but I don't know of any easier way of doing it. And then bring that one along there. I mean, we're talking, but it just gets rid of horrible little duplications of things. Right, so now what I can do is, because I know that this line is not correct, that I can now merge vertices at the first one. Undo that. No, it was the second one, so that's the first one. Okay, now I can merge them at the first one, which is correct. Right, so now, yeah, okay, that's now correct. That is now correct. Okay, so I select that one and go merge at first. There we go, problem solved. Now the wood is now part of the whole. Right, okay, now I need to do the same here. I hope that made sense to someone. This is the only way that I know how to do it. I'm not saying that this is the correct way of doing it at all, but this is the way that I know how to do it. So we've got a similar problem here. So I need to select the one that's actually the real edge, and we need to subdivide it by 2, which gives me 2 vertices. Okay, now I need to grab that. Ooh. Whoa. I just want 1 vertex, thank you. Right, I need to grab that along the edge and move it there. And this one, hang on, why have I got more vertices? Okay, I don't know why I've got an extra vertex there. Dissolve, right. So now I need to connect. That's the first one, that's the second one. Merge these at the first point, which then makes that all one, which is absolutely fine. This is just really tidying up and making your mesh smart. Merge at the first one, grab, yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's good. That's fine. That is fine. That is fine. I'm happy with that. Let's take that off. Right. Now we've got clean mesh. Try to keep it as simple as possible. I remember when I first started building, my mesh was awful. It was so untidy. There were vertices all over the place. I mean, it kind of looked okay, but obviously the land impact was too high and the mesh wasn't clean. It just wasn't clean. And I've learned over the years to tidy up things as you go along. So we've got a grand front entrance. We have a step going in. We've got a nice door with a nice handle. Scale is correct on pretty much everything. we've got nice windows, we've got nice chimney. I don't know whether to continue. I mean, I can keep going. I'm certainly not going to do a stream like I did yesterday, which was 9 hours, because I've got kind of real world stuff to do. Now the back door, I think, can be less glamorous. And I was thinking there earlier that I might do just a simple back door on here, really, because what's going to be here in the center, you're going to go through the front door and you're going to go up. There's going to be a set of stairs that's going to take you up to and they're going to be kind of relatively grand stairs, but not, you know, not mansion grand, but actually quite nice. So I might leave this for another day. Let's save that, and then I always save as the next version up. So we're now on revision E, which is good practice to do, because then you can always go back to a previous version where you might think, you know, I've mucked something up, and you know that you can go back to a previous version and potentially bring something in to the latest version, because, you know, maybe you screwed up the chimneys or something. I don't know. Would this look good with chimneys here? I don't know. I don't think so. I want this to kind of be as old as possible, really. Okay, wow, we've got a lot of lurkers. Do please follow. You know, I try to stream as much as I can. You know, I've been streaming 3-4 times a week, so obviously not 9-hour streams. That was a bit of a one-off case, but typically my streams are kind of 1 to, you know, possibly 3 hours if I've got the time. This one is kind of 2.5 hours, so I might call it a day now on here, because really the next things that I'm going to do will be the dormer windows. There'll be 2 dormer windows on there, 2 on the front, 2 on the back, and then I will put the rear door and start basically punching holes in the wall mesh, so that obviously, you know, you can see in the building and out the building. Yeah, I'm pleased with actually all of this. I'm really pleased that I got the door done. It looks good. And I sorted out the door frame. I might save this door actually as an asset. I think the door needs to be resized just very slightly, because it doesn't really fit. If we move that back against the mesh, it's slightly too big. Let's just resize it very slightly. Yeah, okay. Scale. There we go. Looking good. Right, so let's save that new version. Okay, I'm going to call it a day. If anyone has got any questions, now is the time to ask, because I am basically going to raid one of the people that I follow. She does really good art. And I'm happy with this so far. It's looking impressive. I might actually bring this as a raw mesh into the Second Life beta, because that's what the beta grid is for. Bring it in and just basically just make sure that the scale is working, that I've got the door correct and things like that, that I don't have to rebuild it. But I think it looks good. I think it looks good. You know, this is going to be the cellar. This block, ground floor, first floor, obviously roof. So okay. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching and staying with me and listening to me waffle on about stuff. Do please follow if you want to see more of this kind of thing. Okay, I'm going to raid. Actually, there isn't really anyone else that actually, let me see if I can try and find somebody else who does Blender. Bear with me. Let's see if there's anyone. Is there anyone doing stuff in Blender at the moment? Let's have a look. Blender. Anyone else doing Blender? There's lots of modelers in Blender, but I mean, you know, I don't think they're going to be... Okay, let's see. Modeling 3D. Is anyone live doing modeling at the moment? No, there isn't. Okay, right. So I think the thing to do is just raid a channel that is already doing some things. So I quite like Geninator. She does do 18 plus stuff. My channel is 18 plus, mainly because I keep streaming Second Life. So if you are under 18, then you shouldn't be viewing my channel anyway. Okay, so I'm going to okay, so we're going to initiate that. Here we go, here we go.
Surgery sounds more serious in American. Yeah, so this is where it gets confusing for me. Because like in Swedish you have vårdcentralen and sjuk.
Oh gosh, we're being raided. Battle stations.
Magus, thank you for the raid. My god, it's the third raid. I'm not sure if the dog can cope with this. Hold on. Are you
Should we just let him in? Oh, he's awake. Oh. Petey, you have to defend. Defend against Magus. Them Magus, them Hellwalkers, yes. Defend.
Oh, good boy. Hi, Petey. You too tired of everything? Yeah, very sad. It's a long day. Yeah. Wow. So cute. Yeah, good boy. Wow. Oh, he's so he's so sick of everything.